Nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic, eh, Luigi?
I hope she made lots of spaghetti.
Luigi, look. It's from Bowser. Dear pesky plumbers, the Koopalings and I have taken over the Mushroom Kingdom. The princess is now a permanent guest at one of my 7 Koopa hotels. I dare you to find her if you can. We gotta find the princess.
And you gotta help us.
If you need instructions on how to get through the hotels, check out the enclosed instruction book.
The problem with the Mario movie is that there's not enough political satire in it. No biting commentary on controversial subjects in this kids movie, disappointingly enough. It basically sucks. Other than that though, it's pretty aight. I liked it. Chris Pratt wasn't as Chris Pratt as I thought Chris Pratt would be. Or maybe I just didn't notice the Chris Prattness of Chris Pratt.
He's so cool.
It was shockingly tolerable. The voices were generally solid. Marcia was good as Peach, that one guy from that one meme, and that other guy from that failed gaming channel. Both fit shockingly well for their characters. The only one that didn't fit, and that took me right out of it, was Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. You would expect a deeper voice to come out of a giant ape, even if he's supposed to be on the younger side, but nah, it's just Seth Rogen. That Super Bowl ad was pretty based, and I was happy to see they actually put it in the movie. That commercial was the first thing that gave me real confidence in this thing. Illumination's character design style is something I haven't, probably can't, and don't really want to get used to, and it doesn't mesh well with the well-established Mario aesthetic. The character models are tolerable. You can look past them, but by no means are they favorable. They're like Illumination characters cosplaying Mario. Luigi looks fine, the Toads are good, and all the miscellaneous Koopas all look basically exact. But then Mario, the main character, is just off. And Peach is straight up funky looking. I don't totally understand why they couldn't just use the official 3D models. Maybe they wanted the movie to fit in better with the rest of their brand of low effort normie sludge. Maybe it was kind of marketing to make it more obviously an Illumination product. Or maybe Nintendo wanted to purposefully separate this movie visually from official Nintendo marketing in the event this movie blows. If there is a good reason, I still don't like it. They also Illuminationed the fuck out of the soundtrack. There's some good stuff, cinematic renditions of classics from the games, but there's basically just as much contemporary pop music shoved in. You'll have stuff like the fucking DK rap when Donkey Kong is introduced, which is based, and more of a deep cut than I would have expected, despite it being a meme. But then you'll have Take On Me for when carts are introduced in the Donkey Kong Kingdom. That shit took me right out of the movie. I get they should probably have some creative license to put their own unique flair onto the movie, but why can't they just stop, you know, being themselves?
Let's go.
This was pretty obvious from the trailers, but they do this whole Mario is from an approximation of our world and he just portals into the Nintendo fantasy world thing. I don't know what a portal to another dimension is doing chilling in the Brooklyn sewers as an obvious giant green pipe, easily accessible to a couple of idiots wandering around. Why aren't people portaling through this world all the time? Why would this other dimension be a mystery to people if it's just there? All you'd need to do to fix this would be to have the warp pipe blocked off in some abandoned, restricted area or something, and add a couple more conditions to make Mario and Luigi's happening upon it more of a special case. As it is, there's just a straight up portal to another dimension just sitting in the Brooklyn sewers, which is a little weird. I don't get why they made Mario come from a separate world from the Mushroom Kingdom. Would it really have been any worse if Mario just lived in this fantasy world and we didn't have this useless separation between two different dimensions? It makes the Fantastic fantastical stuff feel weird in comparison, now that we have this somewhat realistic foundation in the beginning of the movie. It makes it so you kinda need an explanation for how this portal works, why it's here, how many people know about it, and what that means. Of course, it doesn't need to be super complicated or in-depth. I'm not asking for a high-concept sci-fi story in my Mario movie, but those questions wouldn't even exist if there was only one fantasy world, and Mario was just from somewhere outside of the Mushroom Kingdom in that world, rather than being from our world, basically. Peach doesn't have much of a reason to bring Mario along on this little adventure of hers. Toad I can accept, but she just met this weird pseudo-Italian manlet and then decides to train him for literal days just so he can come along with her. And like, why would she do that? It's an easy fix, honestly. I feel if they expanded on and emphasized just a little more their common ground as the only humans in this world, and that Peach likely came from Mario's world, it could have explained just fine why she would have this particular interest in him. But they only bring it up once, and only explained as much as I just said now. It should have come back up at least once more, I think.
Let's go.
To girl boss or not to girl boss? This is the dilemma everyone, as well as probably the writers, had towards Peach in this movie. It seems like they went for a kind of half-assed girl boss. Some of it's in there, like Peach being apparently inexplicably overcompetent at basically everything, whereas everyone else has to struggle and grow, but that isn't emphasized, and she actually manages to retain relative femininity, surprisingly. Bowser is down horrendously. It's pretty bad. Basically, he wants to marry Peach, but not just for power or wealth or whatever, but for the sake of actually just marrying her because he likes her. What a simp. And if she won't marry him, he'll just kill everyone. Bowser incel arc. Honestly, I think he has understandable motivations and philosophy. He's right up there with Thanos for complex and interesting villain motivations. Still don't know how I feel about this. It dances on the line of being goofy and just being cringe. I've heard some criticisms levied at Mario and the cliche character arc of nobody believes in you, everyone looks down on you, but then somehow you literally save the entire world by the end of the movie. I did kinda get that feeling too, especially with lines like,
"You don't leave a steady job for some crazy dream,"
or,
"You're a joke and you always will be."
although this line was pretty good.
The stupid Mario Brothers.
I don't think the problem is just having this kind of arc. I mean, it's such a basic and general concept. It'd be hard to avoid it entirely in stories. I think it could have just done with being a little less in your face. By the way, Mario attempts to nuke Brooklyn in this movie. I'm not kidding. In the climax, Bowser launches a thermonuclear bullet bill towards Peach's castle, and Mario, with the Tanuki suit, as well as his infinite wisdom, redirects it to the fucking warp pipe he came from. Tell me, what exactly did he think would happen? I mean, the thing ends up blowing up in the weird nebulous warp space, but for all he knew, it could have warped right back to the human world, and, well... But like I said, he fucked up his plan.
Let's go.
I honestly think this movie could have been really good if they spent just a little more time on the story. The actual plot is comically simple. It's really just used as a vehicle for easy funnies and references, all of which are mostly nice, but it would have been better if the story was, well, better. We speed run through from plot point to set piece, never really settling down to get familiar with any of the locations, let alone getting a better understanding of the world in general. I mean, if I were given the opportunity to make a Mario movie, I'd want to throw in as much shit as possible as well. Who knows if you'd get an opportunity like that ever again. And maybe not every movie needs to be super story or world driven. Sometimes you can just have dumb fun. But since the games don't have much of a story, I think it would be best to actually try and make something out of it with a movie adaptation. And this movie does do a little of that, It has this whole character arc with Mario and hints to Peach's backstory, but that's basically where they left it. I feel the script just needed a little more time to cook. It shouldn't be too hard to iron out these issues and make a much stronger movie out of it. But this is the Minions company after all, who only ever made one other good movie, so maybe I'm expecting too much of them. It's a miracle this is as good as it is.